and a very warm welcome. Today,
I saw that. Yes, yes. It's only circulated 4 rooms. So 1 floor down, 2 floors down, and 1 up. So on this floor you
There are students, recently they have most of the all of this are very we provide
so it's almost equal.
Please.
How far?
I think we had 91.5. Sir, please. थोड़ा सा गैप चलो
Right?
जगह जगह छोड़िए
suspension. It can cross obstacles up to twice of its diameter field. So we have filmed its operation.
Ya para such project.
We work on the finite element and so plumber spine, and we juggle citrus and we how much citrus, and accordingly we just use the proper ergonomic technique as a mechanical student, proper singular vibration technique, and proper ergonomic like cushioning and all other. So it is going to be important that we will end up with this proper technique. Is like rehabilitation technique, is supinal insertion technique, is cages, rods. We will end up with this publishing group papers.
Very good. Well done.
Which has a boosting of up to 1.5 times.
Which is close to sinusoidal wave and which is used in the grids.
Normally the inverter that we use for domestic purposes does not give a perfect sinusoidal wave on this side. It gives a square wave, which is an approximation of the sinusoidal wave, which creates a lot of distortion, hormones, and a lot of power is
Voltage fluctuation.
Inverter which gives a replica of sinusoidal wave to save the power. Thank you. Well done.
Academic Affairs, Islamic University of Science and Technology. Among the dignitaries, we have the Chief Minister, Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Janab Omar Abdullah Saab, our chief guest for today's event. Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, Cooperatives and Election Department, Government of Jammu and Kashmir, and guest of honor. Felicitation of Shri Javed Ahmad, Honorable Minister for Agriculture Production, the Chief Minister, Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and guest of honor for today's event. Felicitation of Shri Nasir Aslam Wani, Advisor to Honorable Chief Minister, Union Territory.
To launch Kashmir satellites from IUST and to train local youth to fly drones with the DGCA if it is concerned. I'm sure Honorable Vice Chancellor will have a lot to add to it. So thank you very much and God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Now let us move on to the felicitation ceremony. Inclusive and forward-looking. Before we move ahead with the celebrations of this special day of our unity, pride and shared identity. Aviation Private Limited, Gurgaon. Mr. Mushtaq Chaya, Chairman, Jammu and Kashmir.
I remember in my first term in office, we had two universities in their infancy. You had IUST here in Avantipur, and you had Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University in Rajouri. For various reasons, Baba Ghulam Shah Badshah University seemed to take off a lot faster than IUST did. When we visited both campuses, we always came away with the feeling that one had started to resemble a university, while one was struggling to look a bit like a 10+2 school that had been given a few extra rooms. As Nasir rightly remembers, and some of those prefab structures have been immortalized as part of this campus, perhaps to remind all of us that great things often come from humble beginnings. Some of those prefab structures are still in existence, and I had the opportunity to enter one of them because it's now your radio station from where the university is broadcasting. But the point I'm trying to make is that oftentimes good things also can't be hurried. As children, we were often told, haste makes waste. I remember in Burn Hall, that was one of the posters that we were treated to. We were treated to the fables of the hare and the tortoise, and that in a race, it doesn't matter how quickly you begin, what matters is how strongly you reach the finishing line. And I think in that respect, IUST has also established a benchmark, given that the progress that I have seen between my previous visits and now is very apparent. It's apparent in the infrastructure that has come up in the university. It is apparent in the faculty and the confidence with which they are approaching the tasks that are being handed to them. And perhaps most importantly, it's apparent in not just the number of students that are enrolled here, but also the quality of the students, their approach to education, their approach to new ideas, their approach to innovative thinking. My experience with education is so different from the experience that I see today. The new education policy and what it has meant for students and the way in which they can approach education. I sometimes wish that those of us of a slightly older generation than the students who are studying today had been given opportunities like that. The ability to design to some extent the degree that you want to do, the courses that you will do, the way in which practical education is sought to be amalgamated with book knowledge. For me, education was quite simply, you were handed a book, you were asked to learn it, you were told to go into the exam room, and you were asked to reproduce what you had learned. Whether it was any use to you afterwards or not was of no consequence to the people who were designing that education. In fact, more often than not, when you went into the private sector and sought to get a job, they would spend the first 6 months to 1 year getting you to unlearn what the education system had taught you, so that they could actually give you skills that would be useful to the job that you were doing. Today's education is so different. when you see some of the innovative ideas that I saw in the Tech Expo, and I think that leads me to what I should have started with, which is an apology for keeping you waiting. We should have started much earlier than we actually did. The minute-to-minute program, I think, only meant that I was supposed to go cut the ribbon for the Tech Expo and leave, because the minute-to-minute program gave me 2 minutes at the Tech Expo. I actually spent, if I'm not mistaken, about 40 to 45 minutes. And in spite of Vice Chancellor Saab's best efforts to try and push me along, I thought it would be extremely unfair if I stopped at the first 10 and then didn't listen to the next. But the ideas, I mean, it leads you with a great sense of satisfaction that perhaps the future is going to be brighter than our present. Because you look at youngsters and you look at the young boys and girls who are part of that Tech Expo, and you realize that they're not just looking at education as a means to replicate what is taught to them in books. They're also looking at education as a means to try to solve problems that have either arisen because of the mistakes of generations of mine and our predecessors, or are practical problems that exist in day-to-day life. So you have youngsters who are trying to design automatic snow shovels to push the snow from narrow lanes, because they realize that the big JCBs and bulldozers and tractors that we try to send, they don't work. You have people who are using advanced robotics to try and innovate solutions to practical problems. You have youngsters who are trying to use advanced robotics to address areas like even plucking of fruit. And then they realize that plucking of fruit actually can sometimes be detrimental to the fruit. So not only do they design a claw to pluck the fruit, but they design it in a way in which it is soft enough not to damage the fruit, but solid enough to be able to pluck the fruit off the tree. Now, these are things that I can guarantee you in my childhood I would not have thought of. And the education system that I was a part of wouldn't have even allowed me to think of innovations like this. I mean, some of the exhibits that I stood at, I even now, if you ask me to explain what they were telling me was happening there, I wouldn't be able to explain. And in spite of Professor Saab's best efforts, because he really tried to dumb down the ideas for me, to try and explain to me how that inverter was actually going to work, it made no sense to me at all. But that's what this education is about. It's about allowing this mind to go places that otherwise it wouldn't go. It's about giving our youngsters opportunities. It's about not only creating a wealth of educated youngsters, but educated, employable youngsters who tomorrow will contribute to the economy. And then again, that's where the MOUs come into being. A number of MOUs signed with important players, both within the spectrum of Jammu and Kashmir and also from places outside, will give youngsters here in IUST an opportunity to grow their horizons. The fact that a university as young as this, because in the field of education, 20 years is nothing. When you look at the Cambridges and the Oxfords of the world and the Harvards of the world, they measure their age in hundreds of years. Some more than that. So 20 years is literally infancy. You're still crawling. And to have produced 70 plus patents in a university as young as this is again a tribute both to the faculty and to the students. So on behalf of my colleagues, I would like to assure the Vice Chancellor and his team that whatever we can do to support IUST, we will put everything, whatever resources we can behind IUST to ensure that the growth trajectory that we saw in the graphs, it continues to move forward. I hope that the infrastructure that is envisaged for the university will continue to grow, because this area is going to become even more important. University, of course, added importance to this area. Your neighborhood now soon will have the AIMS, which we hope it's much delayed, but we hope in the next year or two that will be functional. So automatically this area will become a hub both of education here in the university as well as education as part of AIMS as well. So it is all the more important that we help IUST with its growth plans. Two of the ideas that were shared by the Vice Chancellor, I think, are both that need to be taken forward. One, of course, is the land for the sports facilities. I will go back and talk to the department concerned and ensure that all the paperwork is completed. But I will add my own word of my own request to what Nasir already said, that we will help you with the sports facilities, but please don't confine them just to the university. This has been one of my complaints over the last year or so, that unlike Jammu University, where the synthetic track and the ground is made available to local residents to use for a few hours in the morning and evening, unfortunately in Srinagar, and I guess the same is true here, but I don't want to make assumptions. I know in Srinagar for sure, two such facilities came up within very close proximity of each other, in Kashmir University and in NIIT, and both are closed to local residents of the area, which I think is extremely unfair, because if these facilities come up out of resources beyond what are the university's own resources, then they should be made available for wider use. So with that caveat, we will make sure the land is available to you. And secondly, on the question of affiliated colleges, I couldn't agree with you more. I think IUST needs to grow. We need to now recognize that Kashmir is no longer a place of one university. It is true we used to only have Kashmir University, so all colleges were affiliated with that. Now you have IUST. IUST has grown to the level where I believe colleges in South Kashmir can easily be affiliated with IUST.
IUST में हमने 20th फाउंडेशन डे सेलिब्रेट किया. इसकी इनाग्रेशन थी और इनाग्रेशन में हमारे ऑनरेबल चीफ मिनिस्टर साहब आए थे और भी कुछ गेस्ट ऑफ ऑनर्स थे, जैसे हमारे जावेद डार साहब थे, मिनिस्टर फॉर एग्रीकल्चर, और एडवाइज़र सीएम साहब के नासिर असलम सोगामी साहब. तो हमेशा पिछले 20 साल से जो IUST में जो प्रोग्रेस हुई है उसको शोकेस करने के लिए, उसको सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए पिछले कुछ सालों से हम लगातार फाउंडेशन डे मना रहे हैं. और उसमें हम आपने देखा होगा कि बहुत से एक्टिविटीज़ यहाँ हो रही है. टेक एग्जिबिशन हुआ, हमारा कम्युनिटी रेडियो स्टेशन, वन ऑफ द फ्यू यूनिवर्सिटीज़ इन द कंट्री जिनके पास अपना रेडियो स्टेशन है, उसका भी सीएम साहब ने इनाग्रेट किया. इसके अलावा जो और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स है, हमारे हॉस्टल्स है या बाकी भी जो यहाँ पर ग्रोथ हुई है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की, उनको हमने आज इनाग्रेट करवाया. और आपने यहाँ देखा कि जो IUST का जो जर्नी रहा है, खासकर एजुकेशन एकेडमिक्स के हवाले से, रिसर्च के हवाले से, इनोवेशंस के हवाले से, उसमें कितनी पेशरफ्त हुई है. और जो रिकॉग्निशंस हमें मिली है एट द नेशनल लेवल, एट द जम्मू एंड कश्मीर लेवल, एट द इंटरनेशनल लेवल, उसको हमने यहाँ फिर सराहा और उसको डिस्क्राइब किया डिफरेंट एक्टिविटीज़ के थ्रू. तो और भी है जैसे हमारे ऑलमोस्ट वीक लॉन्ग सेलिब्रेशंस हम मना रहे हैं, जिसका इख्तितामी जो सेशन होगा वो हमारे चांसलर साहब और लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर श्री मनोज सिन्हा साहब उस दिन मेहमानी खुसूसी होंगे. और ये आपने देखा होगा कि IUST का ग्रोथ कितना हुआ है, खासकर इन इमर्जिंग टेक्नोलॉजीज़, चाहे वो आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस हो, चाहे वो मशीन लर्निंग हो, चाहे वो स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी हो. और जो फ्यूचर हमारे रोड मैप है, फ्यूचर प्लान्स है, उसकी भी हमने यहाँ पर वजाहत की, जिसमें जो कश्मीर सैटेलाइट भी एक आपने देखा होगा कि रॉकेट लॉन्चर यहाँ पर था, JSLV. तो उसको जो फ्यूचर इनिशिएटिव्स है उनको भी हमने यहाँ डिस्क्राइब किया, ताकि और गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से हमारे साथ जो है जो भी इनिशिएटिव्स है उसको वो सपोर्ट कर सकें.